Friedrich Merz is no accidental chancellor. His political ambitions stretch back decades.
He encountered his party leader Merkel during his career in politics. She tried to unite as many people as possible. Merz understood politics differently. He still does.
He and Angela Merkel disagreed on many things. He was more conservative. He wanted the tax system to be simplified. And above all, he was radically opposed to the former chancellor's migration policy.
All Germans, both those living there for many decades and the newcomers, should have certain German values.
The election in Germany is over, and it looks like Friedrich Merz will be the new chancellor. In this film, we'll take a look at the man himself.
Merz's father is from Breslau, so Wrocław, now inside Poland. At age 17, he was sent to the Eastern Front as a Wehrmacht soldier, where he remained until the end of the war in a POW camp. After the war, he returned to Germany, but Merz's maternal grandfather was the mayor of the town Merz was born in, Brilon, and in 1933 he joined the Sturmabteilung and the Nazi Party. Some journalists in Germany accused Merz of failing to definitively cut himself off from his grandfather's past in the Nazi Party. But it was a long time ago, and Merz, of course, has no influence over it, and he's never hidden it. These facts are known.
Friedrich Merz was born in 1955 in the deep west of Germany in Brilon. It's part of old West Germany. Geographically and politically speaking, it's a totally different part of the country than the one his biggest rival, Angela Merkel, came from.
His father was a lawyer, a judge in the local court, and Merz says that the division of family responsibilities which he saw between his mother and his father, who was obviously very conservative, did a lot, for example, in forming his way of thinking about the family. That's where he grew up for the first 10 years. Then he was treated for tuberculosis and sent to a Catholic dormitory for 6 months, which really caused a certain trauma in his life. He's talked about it quite officially. During his subsequent school years, he was a rather undisciplined child, to the extent that it seems he had to repeat some 10th grade subjects. This is not precisely the image of Merz, the candidate for Chancellor that we now know. He changed schools, and as far as education is concerned, his life started to go better. He passed his school-leaving exams and went to study law at university, and so has professional legal qualifications. This also demonstrates his motivation to work in the Bundestag. He wanted to make laws. This was one of the goals he always pursued. Merkel was raised in East Germany, in Brandenburg. This obviously brought some limitations with it because of the communist system. For example, the influence on education. Professionally, she focused on physics and chemistry. It was really only when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989 that she entered politics. And it's interesting that 1989 was precisely the year Merz's serious political career started, when he entered the European Parliament.
The start of his serious career, but not the very start of his career. Merz joined the CDU's Young Union in 1972, when he was 17. In 1989, he became a member of the European Parliament, and in 1994, he entered the Bundestag.
We need to remember here that the Bundestag held its sessions in Bonn then. This was very important for him because, in general, family plays a very important role in Friedrich Merz's life. He has 3 children, and at that time the move between the European Parliament and the Bundestag played a big role for him, which was why he wanted to exchange Brussels for Bonn. And he found his feet rather quickly in the Bundestag as the spokesperson for fiscal and financial policy and on tax-related issues. He became his party's spokesperson quite quickly.
He climbed the career ladder for years. Already in the year 2000, he became his party's parliamentary leader. So the most important role after party leader. But then he encountered a strong rival.
Friedrich Merz na swojej drodze politycznej spotkał kanclerz.
In his political career, Friedrich Merz encountered the Chancellor. Well, not yet the Chancellor back then, Angela Merkel. She was already party leader. In the 2000s, there was a break and a change in the CDU's leadership. The CDU was in opposition after the 1998 election and had to renew itself. There was also the coal-era donation scandal, which firstly meant a change in the CDU's leadership and also made room for fresh blood. In fact, in the CDU, this helped out two people, Angela Merkel and Friedrich Merz. And many members saw Merkel as a completely new face. Above all, she was a woman. Secondly, there's obviously the fact that she's from the East. At that time, this was seen as something fresh, something bringing a new quality to German politics. And she had a totally different style of doing politics within the party. She tried to unite as many people as possible. She avoided controversial debates. Just like the Chancellor Merkel we'd come to know during her years in office, she tried to make decisions at the last stage in order to avoid antagonizing both society and her party members. Thanks to this, she was very popular in the party. Merz understood politics differently. He still does. Above all, he's a politician of harsh words. He likes debates, but this means he searches out political clashes with adversaries outside his party and also within it. We're embarking on a decade of serious challenges for Germany and for Europe. The time has come to face down these challenges.
He had a different opinion to Merkel in many matters. He thought her centrist approach was harming the party, and he wanted the CDU to be more conservative. He famously said that tax laws should be simple enough to fit on a beer mat, and Merz was opposed to Merkel's migration policy.
Merz is well known for his references to the Leitkultur, meaning the leading culture. This means that all Germans, both those who've lived there for many decades and the newcomers, should have certain German values. He tried to define, of course, knowledge of the language here, respect for the constitution, for the law, but also more narrowly defined German traits. But then it caused a huge debate, and within the CDU, Merkel opposed such harsh debates. Then there were social issues. Merkel was more liberal here, for example, on how a family should look. In fact, she herself was in her second marriage, but for Merz, it looked much more conservative.
He lost the rivalry with Merkel and gradually started to leave politics. In business, however, he was very successful, for example, becoming chairman of the German office of BlackRock, and he also worked as a lawyer.
He was above all fulfilled in his professional and family life and was well on his way to retirement, but circumstances helped him a little. In 2018, Chancellor Merkel reacted to falling polling figures by declaring she'd step down as party leader and wouldn't run for a further term. This also meant that she would be leaving the office of Chancellor. Merz threw his hand into the battle for party leader, which he'd failed at in 2002. This time he made it. He was able to convince a large part, the majority of members and also the strong structures, not only in North Rhine-Westphalia, where he hails from. This land has a lot to say for the CDU, but he also convinced the clear conservative structures in Eastern Germany, and he also has quite good relations with the CDU's sister party in Bavaria, the CSU, with whom the CDU has a single parliamentary grouping in the Bundestag, and with whom they reach a joint decision on their candidate for Chancellor. If he already managed to join all those dots, he had an open door to become the candidate for Chancellor. That was his objective. Of course, in doing this, he was partly motivated by his wish to rival and beat Chancellor Merkel after all those years, and prove that he can also be the Chancellor.
Politikwechsel am 23. Februar.
Wieder nach vorne. CDU.
The Germany of Friedrich Merz will look completely different than the Germany of Olaf Scholz or Angela Merkel.
Europe needs to finally grow up. Europe has to take care of its own interests. Above all, it needs to do more for its own security. America will remain an important partner for Europe. America will remain an important partner for Germany. But now we must really take our fate into our own hands and ensure that we achieve safety and prosperity, thanks to our own efforts.
We can be sure that the most important policies for the new Chancellor will be on the economy and migration.
I tutaj można się spodziewać zaostrzenia reżimu granicznego.
And we can also expect a more robust border regime, accelerated or increased effectiveness of deportation, or limits on social benefits for migrants. This is one of the goals which he'll definitely pursue. The next question is stimulating economic growth in Germany, and that's a two-phase task. He'll try, for example, to do it by limiting the bureaucracy, but that's easy to say. Every administration tries to do that. One of his demands will be to withdraw some regulation which the previous government put in place. A further thing is to limit social benefits, for example, reducing benefits for the unemployed, or it could affect a smaller group of people in order to motivate them to enter the German workforce.
Good to see you again, and you.
Given what Merz has clearly stated, we can be sure that he will stand with Ukraine in its fight.
We stand strongly by the side of the attacked country. We must put Ukraine in a position of strength so that negotiations can lead to a just peace. Ukraine must have a seat at the negotiation table, with Europe's strong and unified support. From the start, he's clearly said that Ukraine has to win this war and Russia needs to lose it. It was a big contrast to the words used by Chancellor Scholz. We should expect the humanitarian and military aid to continue, perhaps even to increase. And I also think Merz will try to join the European partners and discuss the issues of European policy more broadly, including with Poland. He declared this on numerous occasions during the election campaign. Merz, above all, emphasizes Poland's importance in the region and clearly indicates that, alongside France, Poland is Germany's most important partner and even friend. He uses these words himself, and they're in the Christian Democrats' agenda. And in fact, this was the only party in this election campaign to spell out a greater role for relations with Poland, pointing to the need to rebuild them. We should expect the opportunity from the Germans for new openings in these relations.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, why not watch this one on Eastern Germany? The link is on screen now.